fellow bibliophiles, and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. Today I thought I would do a lovely, cozy reading vlog and just spend the day reading, relaxing with you, maybe do a little baking or something, we'll see. And yeah, so stay tuned. So I've made myself cozy on the couch, and yeah, I don't always read in my reading chair. Sometimes I quite like reading on the couch, and it's a lovely place to read. You can't tell right now, but there's a TV over there, and my husband's often on the TV, either playing video games or just watching something. And when I face this way, away from the TV, it doesn't distract me at all, so it's quite lovely. So I'm going to get started reading Eric. It says it's setting up my ebook. Yeah, and I just thought I would read the first page with you. I love Terry Pratchett's writing, and I think that this opening is particularly lovely, so I'm just going to read it with you. It says, "Begin reading. The bees of death are big and black. They buzz low and somber. They keep their honey in combs of wax as white as altar candles. The honey is black as night, thick as sin, and sweet as treacle. It is well known that 8 colors make up white. But there are also 8 colors of blackness for those that have the seeing of them. And the hives of death are among the black grass, in the black orchard, under the black blossomed ancient boughs of trees that will eventually produce apples that, put it like this, probably won't be red." Well, that sounds like a lovely introduction to the book. I didn't think this was a book about the Death series. So DiscWORLD, if you're not familiar with it, has a bunch of different sort of series within the larger series. DiscWORLD itself is about 40-something, I think, books long. So they break it down into smaller series within the larger series, and one of those series focuses on death. But I actually thought that this one was a RinceWORLD book that had to do with wizards, so we'll see. Not that I mind it being about death. Death is one of my favorite characters in the DiscWORLD series, actually, because he's, well, the question of his humanity is really interesting. Is he human? He sort of has emotions, but also not. He's a complicated character, and that's just what I like so much about him. I also like how when he talks, his speech is all in caps. It just gives him this otherworldliness and distinguishes him from all other characters in the series, and at the very least in the book that you're reading at the time. So yes, I'm excited to keep going, and I will keep you posted. So I've read for about an hour, and Eric is definitely part of the RinceWIND Wizard series and not the Death series, but Death is playing a little cameo, and I like that about DiscWORLD, how different characters do play little cameo parts and crop up in all of the different books. So that's nice. I'm going to take a break from that for a while, and I feel like baking, so I think I'm going to take a break and make some scones. So I'm back, different day, different cup of tea, different batch of scones. No, the first batch was so good that we ate them in a day flat and I had to make new ones. So this batch is chocolate cherry, whereas the last batch was just plain cherry. Very exciting, I know. And then the teacup is the same cup because this one is just my favorite. It's so comforting and I love the raised design on it. When it gets cooler, I'll hold it nicely, but for now I gotta put it down before I spill hot tea all over myself. So I thought I would talk to you about how that last day went, because I stopped filming after making the scones. I just got kind of tired and enjoyed my tea and scone and then kind of ran out of steam for discussing the books with you, but that didn't mean I stopped reading. I actually read quite a bit, and the scones put me in the mood to start the Other Miss Bennet. So I will definitely tell you about that, but this scone is not going to wait till my tea cools. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, I'm putting the scone down before there's none of it left by the time the tea is ready. But yes, I wanted to discuss with you guys what has happened since last time. Like I said, I started the Other Bennet Sister. Pretty sure I messed up the title of it before. I've been mixing it up with Miss Austen because both of them have to do with Jane Austen, and so I've been calling it Miss Bennet, the Other Miss Bennet, all sorts of different permutations of the title, but it is the Other Bennet Sister by Janice Hadlow. There we go. I think I said that correctly. Okay. So I have started that. I'm only up to chapter 6. It is really exciting so far. It is all about Mary, and it's a retelling of Pride and Prejudice from Mary's point of view, which is amazing because I thought about it, and I don't have an opinion on Mary. I've read Pride and Prejudice upwards of 3 times, and I don't have anything to say about Mary. She's the middle sister. That's about it. And I wonder, when I go back to read Pride and Prejudice in the future, what little tidbits of information I can glean from Mary and see how Janice incorporated that into her book. But it is a really wonderful portrayal of a character who is otherwise not very important to the reader when they read Pride and Prejudice. Certainly not on the first read, and for me, not even on the third read. But even though it is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice from Mary's point of view, Janice Hadlow portrays these other characters with an interpretation as well, because they're not Jane Austen's original content, although I think that there is a ton of original dialogue borrowed from Jane Austen in this book, and I will double check that at some point, but I guarantee you that she took some lines word for word from Jane Austen, which is a good thing. It gives an authenticity to the text. I feel like I need to reread Pride and Prejudice basically after reading just a few chapters even of the Other Bennet Sister, because I want to see how much of this comes from the original, how much of this is Janice Hadlow's interpretation, and how much of it was just something that I may have overlooked and didn't even notice, even though I've read Pride and Prejudice multiple times. And I don't blame myself if there's something I don't notice in a Jane Austen book. Jane Austen is such a brilliant author because I can read her books multiple times, and each time I read them, I get something new from them. There's always a different interpretation I have, a different detail I notice. She's just absolutely wonderful that way. So yes, I am looking forward to enjoying my scone and tea when the tea cools. I hope it is cool soon. Let me check it. I should finish up talking to you so I can drink the tea. Before I go back to my tea and the Other Bennet Sister, though, I did want to briefly talk to you about Eric. I have since finished it, and I thought it was good, but not great. It is great in the sense that all DiscWORLD books have been great so far for me. I love Terry Pratchett's writing style and his whimsy and wit, but I wasn't such a fan of the plot of Eric. It didn't do it for me for whatever reason. The plot focused on Eric, who is a new character to this book. He is a demonologist, so he studies demons, and he was trying to conjure a demon, and instead he conjured the great wizard RinceWIND. And Eric is convinced that RinceWIND is the demon that he conjured, and he goes on a whirlwind adventure all around DiscWORLD and beyond with RinceWIND. They get into all sorts of scrapes and trouble, and the luggage accompanies them, of course. And it's a lot of fun, but I prefer other books in the series. I'm not a huge fan of the RinceWIND character. He's just so unpredictable. And I guess that's probably why some people love him, but I'm just not a huge fan. I love Death, though, as a character. Death might be my favorite character in the series at this point, because he's just so interesting, and I've only read one Death book in the series up to now, so I can't wait to read more in that mini-series of DiscWORLD. So I think at this point my tea is cool enough, and if not, I will probably burn my tongue because I can't wait for another bite of this scone and I need something to wash it down with. So I'll talk to you guys after I read a little more of the Other Bennet Sister. So I'm quite enjoying the Other Bennet Sister. Much of the day has gone by and I am up to chapter 19. I'm sure this is terrible in terms of glare, but yes. So I've read quite a bit of the book, although it only says I'm 19% through, which means I guess this is quite a long book, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think the portrayal of Mary is really interesting. She's this black sheep sort of character. She doesn't quite fit in with her older sisters or her younger sisters. She's stuck in the middle. Her mother clearly disdains her for not being as beautiful as the other sisters and worries about her meeting a potential suitor and standing out from the crowd. Mary has internalized her mother's opinions and is self-loathing in many ways. She has turned to books for solace. This book does a really great job of making her an endearing and prominent character in a sea of other characters who are notably more interesting and entertaining in the original. A character who also really stands out in this book is Charlotte Lucas, and she is prominent in the original Pride and Prejudice, of course, but Charlotte in this book takes on a whole new role. She's known for her mercenary thinking, of course, but she's also giving advice to Mary, and the comparisons between Mary and Charlotte Lucas in this book raise some interesting questions and are something that I'm going to need to think about a lot further. This is the kind of book that's probably going to get a whole review video from me, so I'm just kind of telling you my preliminary thoughts. Nothing is set in stone right now. I do need some time to think about this and discuss it further. But right now there's a romance plot set up for Mary, and it seems a bit predictable to me, and I don't know if I thoroughly enjoy it, but I can't wait to see where it goes. Maybe Janice Hadlow has a twist or two in there for me. We'll see. And I just want to keep reading this. So I'll see you again soon. So I read a few more chapters in the Other Bennet Sister. It is really, really good. I'm quite enjoying it. The romance has been put on hold for a little bit, and it has launched into similar themes as Pride and Prejudice, or not really Pride and Prejudice so much as Jane Austen's works as a whole. A little bit Pride and Prejudice. Anyway, it's launched into themes about marriage and about what to look for in a marriage, and if it's better to be reasonable and sensible, or if it's better to rely on your emotions. You know, Pride and Prejudice touches on this, Sense and Sensibility focuses on that very clearly. So in a lot of ways, I think this book was inspired not just by Pride and Prejudice, but by the body of Austen's work as a whole. And it's so fascinating. I need to think about it in depth. There's definitely going to be a review video of this one when I finish it. But yes, I'm really enjoying the part about Mr. Collins, which we're up to right now. I think that it takes a very special type of person to know Mr. Collins as we have interpreted him usually in Pride and Prejudice, the common interpretation that he is rather a buffoon of a character, that he embarrasses himself and those around him, and that he is just obnoxious and kind of awful as a character, yes. He's a character I personally love to hate, and in this book, everyone loves to hate him just as much as me, except for Mary Bennet, and hearing her point of view and her rationale and her ability to find this horrendous character incredibly sympathetic is admirable, possibly foolish. I'm not sure which at this point, but it's definitely a different take, and Mary definitely has an unpopular opinion of Mr. Collins, so I quite enjoy that perception of him and watching it unfold, because it's not like some retellings where Mr. Collins is just a different character. No, he uses much of the same language that he does in the original Pride and Prejudice. He's portrayed the same way from everyone's point of view except for Mary's, and that's what makes the difference, and that's what makes it really engaging and exciting to read. There's also even more entertainment with Charlotte Lucas. She really is such a strongly featured character in this book, along with Mary, and it's interesting to see Mary's role almost between the two extremes of Lizzie Bennet and Charlotte Lucas, because she's torn between being incredibly rational like Charlotte Lucas and very mercenary in her thoughts and opinions and decisions, and being emotional and carefree like Lizzie Bennet. I think it may portray Lizzie as a little too emotional and carefree and not thinking things through enough, but I would definitely have to reread Pride and Prejudice to make that assessment. By the way, I know I just keep comparing this book to Pride and Prejudice, but the fact that I can do that, the fact that I can think about this book in context with Pride and Prejudice and not just read it and say this is garbage, speaks to the incredible talent it takes to pull something like this off. And so far, Janice Hadlow is pulling this retelling off. I'm quite enjoying it. It's giving me something to think about with regards to the original and with regards to Jane Austen's work as a whole, and it adds something to my interpretation and my thought process, and I like that. I like viewing this book as an interpretation, and when I see it like that, it's not just rehashing Pride and Prejudice, it's pulling out some of my favorite lines, pulling out some of my best parts, but definitely creating something slightly different as well, and creating a commentary on marriage at the time. So that's where I'm at so far. I still have over half this book to go, so don't take what I say right now as gospel. She could totally mess it up with the second half of the book and I might hate this one, but I so far think it is really interesting. You'll have to wait to hear my thoughts in a wrap-up or review video. I think I'm going to end this vlog for now. It is time for me to cook dinner, so I hope you're doing well. This is my little stay-at-home vlog, but it's more or less what I do on a daily basis now. Read, relax, entertain myself, play some Animal Crossings. I play a lot of Animal Crossings lately. A lot of my friends are playing it as well, so it's fun to connect with them via that platform and make my island beautiful and meet all the fictional characters and have them go on all the adventures that I can't go on while I'm inside and indoors for the foreseeable future, possibly till just May 15th, possibly further. We shall see. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you and your family are safe and happy and healthy, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye!